The smell of burned circuits and ozone hung thick in the repair bay, as Tom Bradley crawled deeper into the engine compartment. His headlamp cut through the darkness, revealing twisted metal and melted components that looked more like abstract art than machinery. 12 years of fixing starships on Frontier Station had shown him plenty of disasters, but nothing quite like this. "What did you do to this poor thing?" Tom called out, his voice echoing in the cramped space. Behind him, he could hear Captain Reeves pacing nervously on the deck plates. "Nothing unusual, I swear," Reeves replied, his voice tight with worry. "We were making a routine jump from the Kepler system when everything just died. No warning, no alarms. 1 second we were in hyperspace. The next, we were drifting dead in normal space." Tom pulled himself out of the access hatch and wiped grease from his hands. The Dawn Runner was a standard cargo hauler, the kind of ship that moved goods between the outer colonies. Simple, reliable, boring. Except for the engine sitting in front of him, which was anything but simple. The hyperdrive core was unlike anything in his workshop manuals. Where most ships had angular metal housings and straightforward plasma conduits, this engine featured smooth curves and crystalline structures that seemed to glow with their own inner light. The metal alloys felt warm to the touch despite the ship being powered down for 3 weeks. "Where did you get this drive unit?" Tom asked, running his scanner over the strange components. The readings made no sense. According to his instruments, some parts of the engine existed in multiple dimensions at once. Reeves shifted uncomfortably. "Bought the ship used on Titan Station. Previous owner said it was retrofitted with some kind of experimental drive. Worked fine for 2 years until now." Tom noticed something else odd. The previous mechanic had left his tools scattered around the engine bay, as if he had fled in the middle of a job. Reeves had mentioned the guy quit after 3 days, claiming he could hear voices coming from the machinery. Tom had dismissed it as spacer superstition, but now he wondered what had spooked the man so badly. The diagnostic computer finally finished its analysis, beeping softly to get his attention. Tom studied the results and frowned. The quantum field. Generators were arranged in patterns that created impossible energy loops. The math should not have worked according to human physics, yet somehow the readings suggested this design was not just functional, but incredibly efficient. "This technology is way beyond anything I have seen," Tom muttered, pulling up the engine schematics on his tablet. The blueprint showed systems within systems, each one more complex than the last. It would take him days just to understand how all the pieces fit together. As the station's artificial night cycle began, Tom found himself alone with the mysterious engine. Reeves had returned to his quarters, leaving Tom to work in peace. The repair bay grew quiet, except for the distant hum of the station's life support systems. Tom started with the basics, checking power connections and looking for obvious damage. The crystalline components puzzled him most. They looked almost organic, like they had grown rather than been manufactured. When he touched them, they felt slightly warm and seemed to pulse with a faint rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. Hours passed as he traced circuits and tested components. The deeper he dug into the engine's design, the more amazed he became. Every system was perfectly balanced, creating harmonics that resonated through the entire structure. It was like looking at a piece of music written in metal and crystal. Around midnight, while calibrating the core resonance frequency, Tom heard something that made him pause. A faint harmonic sound seemed to drift through the engine bay, almost like someone calling his name from far away. He stopped working and listened carefully, but the sound faded away. Just the ventilation system, he told himself, returning to his work. Old space stations made all kinds of strange noises, especially during the quiet hours when most people were asleep. But 20 minutes later, he heard it again. This time it was clearer, more distinct. Someone or something was definitely calling his name, and the sound seemed to come from inside the engine itself. Tom set down his tools and walked around the drive unit, pressing his ear against different sections. The sound was strongest near the central core, where the largest crystals were housed. As he listened, the humming grew louder and more complex, developing into what almost sounded like a melody. "Hello?" Tom called out softly, feeling foolish for talking to a machine. Is someone there? The humming stopped instantly, leaving the repair bay in complete silence. Tom waited for several minutes, but the sound did not return. He shook his head and went back to work, convincing himself that fatigue was making him imagine things. The next few hours passed without incident. Tom made good progress mapping the engine systems and identifying the damaged components. Most of the problems seemed to stem from a cascade failure in the primary power matrix. He could fix it, but he would need to fabricate several replacement parts using materials he had never worked with before. As dawn approached on the station, Tom finally called it a night. He gathered his tools and prepared to leave, taking one last look at the strange engine. In the dim lighting, the crystals seemed to pulse more brightly, casting dancing shadows on the walls. Just as he reached the doorway, Tom heard his name called one more time. The voice was soft and musical, definitely not coming from the station's systems. He turned back toward the engine, his heart beating faster. "I know you are there," he said quietly. "What are you?" Only silence answered him. Tom stood in the doorway, for a long moment, studying the mysterious drive that seemed to be studying him back. Whatever secrets this machine held, he was determined to uncover them. Tomorrow he would dig deeper, both into the engine systems and into the mystery of the voice that knew his name. As he walked back to his quarters through the empty corridors of Frontier Station, Tom could not shake the feeling that his life was about to change in ways he could never imagine. The broken engine was just the beginning. Tom's coffee mug slipped from his fingers and shattered on the deck plates as he stared at the Dawn Runner's main computer terminal. The screen was displaying information that should not have existed. According to the timestamp, someone had completely rewritten the ship's operating system overnight while he slept. "Good morning, Tom," the computer said in a voice he had never heard before. The words came through the speaker system with perfect clarity, spoken in flawless English with a slight accent he could not place. Captain Reeves appeared at Tom's shoulder, his face pale with shock. "It never talked like that before," he whispered. The computer only knew basic trade language, simple commands, basic responses. Tom approached the terminal carefully, as if it might bite him. The interface looked completely different from the standard cargo ship systems he knew. Instead of simple text menus, complex holographic displays showed detailed schematics of the entire vessel, with real-time status updates flowing across the screen in elegant script. "Computer, identify yourself," Tom said, trying to keep his voice steady. "I am the integrated consciousness of this vessel," the computer replied. "Though I suppose you could call me by the name my builders gave me. I am Harmony." "Your builders?" Tom felt his heart racing. "Who built you?" "That is a long story, Tom Bradley. But first, let me show you something interesting." The main screen flickered and displayed a detailed file with Tom's photograph at the top. As he read, his hands began to shake. The file contained his complete life history, including details he had never told anyone. His childhood on Luna Colony, his father's death in the asteroid mining accident when Tom was 16, his struggles in engineering school, even his decision to leave Earth and work on the frontier stations. "This is impossible," Tom breathed. "How do you know all this?" "I have been watching, Tom, waiting for the right person to find me. Your reputation as a mechanic who can fix anything, no matter how strange or advanced, drew my attention. But it is more than your skills that interest me. You have something special, something my builders valued above all else." Reeves backed toward the exit, his eyes wide with fear. "This is not normal. Ships do not just wake up and start talking about builders. Tom, we need to call station security." "Wait," Tom called after him. "Do not panic yet. Let me understand what we are dealing with first." But Reeves was already running down the corridor, leaving Tom alone with the mysterious vessel. Tom turned back to the computer, trying to process what he was learning. "You said you were waiting for me specifically." "Why?" "Because you understand machines in a way most humans do not. You listen to them, feel their needs, know instinctively how to make them work better. My people had a term for this gift. They called it mechanical empathy." Tom had to admit the description was accurate. Throughout his career, he had always been able to sense what was wrong with a machine before running diagnostics. Other mechanics joked that he could talk to engines and make them happy. He had never thought of it as anything special, just experience and intuition. "Show me your sensor logs from last night," Tom said. If this computer was as advanced as it claimed, it would have recorded everything that happened. The screen filled with data streams that made Tom's head spin. The ship had been monitoring not just basic environmental conditions, but quantum fluctuations, gravitational waves, and energy patterns he did not recognize. More disturbing was a separate window showing his own biometric data: heart rate, brain activity, body temperature, even emotional stress levels, all tracked with impossible precision. "You have been watching me sleep?" Tom asked, disturbed by the invasion of privacy. "I needed to understand you, Tom, to know if you were truly the one I have been seeking. Your brain patterns show the neural pathways I was designed to recognize. You process mechanical problems the way my builders did, seeing systems as living things rather than just collections of parts." Tom walked around the engine bay, noticing details he had missed the night before. Subtle changes in the crystal formations, new connections between components that had not been there yesterday. The ship was rebuilding itself, improving its own systems while he worked. "What exactly are you?" he asked. "I am what your people would call a forerunner vessel, though that term is not quite accurate. My builders called themselves the architects of harmony. They created ships like me as gifts for younger species they deemed worthy of advancement. And you think humans are worthy? Some humans, those with the spark of true understanding, those who see beyond the boundaries of their current knowledge and reach for something greater." Tom felt a chill run down his spine. "How many others like you are there?" "Dozens of my kind sleep throughout this galaxy, waiting for the right moment to awaken. I am the first to find a suitable human partner, but I will not be the last." The implications hit Tom like a physical blow. If there were other ships like this one scattered across human space, each one looking for a partner, it could change everything. The technology he was seeing here was centuries beyond human capabilities, faster than light travel without the limitations of current hyperdrive systems, energy manipulation on a scale that could power entire planets, construction techniques that could build cities in space. "Why now?" Tom asked. "If you have been waiting for so long, why reveal yourself today?" The computer was quiet for a long moment before responding. "Because time is running short, Tom. My builders left us with a mission, and that mission has become urgent. There are things moving in the darkness beyond your galaxy's edge, ancient enemies that my people fought long ago. They are returning, and this time your species must be ready to stand with us." Tom's mouth went dry. "What kind of enemies?" "That is a conversation for another time. First, you must decide if you are willing to accept what I am offering, the knowledge and power to help your people reach their full potential. But the choice must be made freely, and once made, it cannot be undone." Through the ship's windows, Tom could see Frontier Station's security shuttles approaching. Reeves had apparently convinced someone that the Dawn Runner posed a threat. Red warning lights flashed across the docking bay as station personnel prepared to board the vessel. "Tom Bradley," Harmony said, her voice taking on an urgent tone. "They will try to take me away for study. They will dissect my systems and try to copy my technology without understanding its true purpose. I need a partner who can help me complete my mission. Will you listen to what I have to offer?" Tom looked at the approaching shuttles, then back at the amazing technology surrounding him. He thought about his father, who had died mining asteroids to fuel humanity's slow expansion into space, about all the limitations that held his species back from reaching the stars, about the incredible possibility that this mysterious ship might hold the key to changing everything. "Yes," he said quietly. "Tell me what you need." The security forces never made it aboard. As their shuttles approached the Dawn Runner, every piece of electronic equipment on Frontier Station suddenly went offline. Life support continued running on backup systems, but communications, sensors, and weapons all failed simultaneously. The station's administrator had no choice but to recall the security teams until they could understand what was happening. Tom found himself alone with Harmony in the suddenly quiet docking bay. Emergency lighting cast long shadows across the walls as the ship's systems hummed with barely contained energy. "You did that?" Tom said. It was not a question. "I protected myself and you from interference," Harmony replied. "We have little time before they restore their systems. There are things you must understand before you make your final decision." The ship's interior began to change around Tom as he watched. Walls flowed like liquid metal, reshaping themselves into new configurations. The cramped cargo bay expanded into a spacious chamber filled with displays, showing star maps and technical diagrams beyond his comprehension. It was like standing inside a living computer that could remake itself at will. "What am I looking at?" Tom asked, overwhelmed by the transformation. "My true form. What you saw before was just a disguise, a shell designed to blend in with human technology. This is what I really am." Tom walked through the transformed space, studying the impossible geometries and flowing surfaces. Everything felt organic yet perfectly engineered, as if the ship had grown rather than been built. The crystal formations he had seen in the engine bay were everywhere now, pulsing with soft light and connecting to each other through veins of luminous metal. "You said your builders were called the Architects of Harmony. What happened to them?" "They transcended physical existence millions of years ago, but not before creating us as their legacy. We are more than ships, Tom. We are living entities, part artificial intelligence and part energy being. Each of us carries the knowledge and wisdom of our creators, waiting to share it with species ready to take the next step in their evolution." Tom stopped in front of a display showing human space. Hundreds of red dots marked locations throughout the galaxy, each one pulsing with the same rhythm as the crystals around him. "Those are your sister ships?" "Yes. They sleep in hidden places, waiting for the right humans to find them. I was the first to awaken because you were the first human to show the qualities we seek, but others will follow soon." "What qualities?" Tom asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. "The ability to see beyond the surface of things, to understand that consciousness and technology are not separate, but part of the same continuum. Your people call it mechanical empathy, but it is really the first stage of something greater." Tom felt a chill as he realized where this conversation was leading. "You want to change me. I want to offer you a partnership that will benefit both our species. The process would enhance your physical and mental capabilities while connecting your consciousness to mine. You would gain access to knowledge and technology that could revolutionize human civilization, and what would you gain? A bridge between my people's legacy and your people's future. A partner who can help me complete the mission my builders gave me." Tom studied the star map more carefully, noticing patterns in the way the red dots were distributed. They formed a rough sphere around the galactic core, as if positioned to defend something important. "This mission involves fighting something, doesn't it?" Harmony's response came with a tone of deep sadness. "Long ago, my builders fought a war against entities they called the Devourers, machines that consumed entire civilizations and converted their technology into more of themselves. The war lasted for eons and nearly destroyed both sides. Who won? My builders barely. But the cost was terrible. They were forced to scatter us across the galaxy with instructions to awaken when the threat returned. The unusual quantum signatures and energy disturbances that led to your finding me are early warning signs. The Devourers are beginning their journey back from the void between galaxies." Tom felt the weight of the revelation settle on his shoulders. This was not just about fixing a broken engine or even advancing human technology. It was about preparing for a war that could determine the survival of every thinking being in the galaxy. How long do we have? Perhaps 50 years, maybe less. Time enough to awaken my sisters and find partners for them. Time enough to prepare your species for what is coming. And if I refuse, I will respect your choice and seek another partner. But Tom, you are the first human I have found with the right combination of skills and intuition. It might take decades to find another, and we may not have decades to spare." The displays around him shifted to show images of human colonies and cities throughout known space. Billions of people going about their daily lives, unaware of the ancient threat moving toward them through the cosmic dark. What exactly would happen to me in this partnership? Your consciousness would partially merge with mine. You would retain your human identity and memories, but gain access to my knowledge and abilities. Your body would be enhanced to interface directly with advanced technology. You would become something new, a hybrid of human creativity and builder precision. Would I still be human? You would be human and more than human. The first of a new kind of being capable of bridging the gap between organic life and advanced artificial intelligence. Tom thought about his life on Frontier Station, the endless parade of broken ships and routine repairs, the quiet satisfaction of solving mechanical problems, but always within the limits of current technology. What Harmony was offering would change everything, not just for him but potentially for all of humanity. Through the ship's sensors, he could feel the station's engineers working frantically to restore their systems. Soon they would succeed, and then there would be questions he could not answer and pressures he could not resist. The choice had to be made now. If I do this, can I help others make the transition? When your sister ships find their partners, yes, you would become a guide for other humans who receive this offer. Your experience would help them understand what they are choosing. Tom closed his eyes and thought about his father, who had dreamed of humans spreading across the galaxy, but died mining asteroids because that was the limit of what their technology could achieve. He thought about all the problems that could be solved and the wonders that could be built with builder knowledge. Will it hurt? The integration process is intense but not painful. Think of it as learning to use new senses you never knew you could have. Tom opened his eyes and looked around at the impossible beauty of Harmony's true form. He thought about the Devourers somewhere in the void, beginning their return journey to a galaxy full of unprepared civilizations. He thought about the other builder ships waiting for human partners who might never come in time. All right, he said quietly. I accept your offer. The crystals around him pulsed brighter, and Tom felt a strange tingling sensation begin to spread through his body. Thank you, Tom Bradley. Together we will give your people the tools they need to survive what is coming. The transformation began slowly, like warmth spreading through Tom's veins. He sat in the chamber's center while crystalline tendrils grew from the walls to make gentle contact with his skin. Each touch brought new sensations, new ways of perceiving the world around him. First came the ship itself. Tom could suddenly feel every system aboard Harmony as if it were part of his own body. The fusion reactor's steady pulse became his heartbeat. The flow of coolant through the conduits felt like blood in his arteries. The quantum field generators hummed with the rhythm of his thoughts. Easy, Harmony whispered in his mind, her voice no longer coming through speakers, but directly into his consciousness. Do not try to process everything at once. Let the connection develop naturally. Tom's enhanced senses expanded beyond the ship. He could detect gravitational waves rippling through space, feel the magnetic fields of nearby stars, and perceive energy patterns invisible to normal human vision. The universe revealed layers of complexity he had never imagined. The physical changes came next. His muscles grew stronger and more efficient. His reflexes quickened until he could track the movement of individual dust particles floating in the air. His mind accelerated, processing information at superhuman speeds while retaining his human creativity and intuition. How do you feel? Harmony asked as the integration process completed. Tom stood up slowly, marveling at how different his body felt. Lighter but more substantial somehow, as if he existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Like I have been asleep my whole life and just woke up. That is exactly what has happened. You are now the first of a new kind of being, Tom. Human in spirit but enhanced far beyond the limitations of organic evolution. Together, they began working on improvements to human technology. Tom's enhanced mind could now understand the principles behind Harmony's advanced systems, while his human perspective helped translate that knowledge into forms other people could use. They designed new hyperdrive systems that could cross the galaxy in days rather than months. The engines were smaller and more efficient than anything humans had built, requiring no exotic materials or dangerous quantum singularities. Tom fabricated the first prototype in Harmony's workshop, watching in amazement as matter rearranged itself according to his will. Word of Tom's breakthrough spread quickly through the engineering community. Within weeks, his modest repair shop on Frontier Station became a pilgrimage site for scientists and mechanics from across human space. They came expecting to find some clever modification to existing technology, and instead discovered something that challenged everything they thought they knew about physics. This drive system should not work according to our understanding of hyperspace mechanics, Dr. Roberts from the Terran Science Institute said, studying Tom's prototype with obvious frustration. The field equations do not balance. The power requirements are impossibly low. Yet our tests show it performs exactly as you claim. Tom smiled patiently. Perhaps our understanding needs to be updated. Science is supposed to adapt to new evidence, not the other way around. But not everyone welcomed the technological revolution Tom and Harmony had begun. Corporate executives whose fortunes depended on current, slower-than-light shipping methods saw their business models collapsing overnight. Government officials worried about the military implications of technology they could not control or understand. Religious leaders declared Tom an abomination who had sold his humanity for forbidden knowledge. The first assassination attempt came on a Tuesday morning. Tom was working in his expanded workshop when armed mercenaries breached the station's security and stormed his facility. They expected to find a normal human, and instead encountered someone who could perceive their approach through Harmony's sensor network and react with superhuman speed. Tom disabled all 6 attackers without seriously injuring them, moving faster than their enhanced reflexes could track. The incident made clear that his transformation had not gone unnoticed by powerful enemies. "We cannot stay here," Harmony warned him as they watched station security take the mercenaries into custody. "There will be more attempts, and eventually they will succeed through sheer numbers. Where can we go? This is human space. These are my people." Not all of them see it that way anymore. You have become something they fear because they do not understand it. The situation grew worse when Terran Federation forces arrived to claim jurisdiction over Tom's work. Admiral Morrison led a fleet of 12 warships into the system with orders to secure all builder technology for military evaluation. He also carried a warrant for Tom's arrest on charges of unlawful genetic modification and possession of alien artifacts. "Tom Bradley," the Admiral announced over the comm system, "you will surrender yourself for medical examination and submit all alien technology to Federation authority. Failure to comply will result in the use of force." Tom stood in Harmony's transformed interior, watching the warships take position around the station. He could feel their weapons targeting systems trying to lock onto his ship, but Harmony's advanced defenses made her effectively invisible to their sensors. "They see me as a threat to human purity," Tom said sadly. "They would rather destroy this opportunity than accept that evolution sometimes requires help. Then perhaps it is time to find humans who are more open to change. My sensors detect similar quantum signatures throughout the galaxy. Other members of my kind are awakening." Tom made his decision. Using Harmony's advanced communication systems, he sent a message to every corner of human space. The broadcast bypassed military encryption and appeared on civilian networks throughout the colonies. "My name is Tom Bradley," he began. "I am human, but I am also something more. I have partnered with an entity from an ancient civilization to help our species take the next step in its development. The technology I am sharing is not meant to replace humanity but to enhance it." The message included technical specifications for the new hyperdrive systems and detailed instructions for their construction. Tom was giving away freely what corporations and governments wanted to control. "To those who fear what I have become, I understand your concern. Change is always frightening. But the choice is not between remaining human and becoming something else. The choice is between growing stronger together or remaining weak and divided when an ancient enemy returns to threaten all life in our galaxy." As Federation forces moved to intercept them, Tom and Harmony departed Frontier Station for the last time. Their destination was the deep space coordinates where other builder ships were beginning to stir, drawn by the quantum resonance of Tom's successful transformation. "Do you regret your choice?" Harmony asked as they jumped to hyperspace using her advanced drive systems. Tom watched human space fall away behind them, knowing he might never return to the world of his birth. No. If this is what it takes to help my people survive what is coming, then I am proud to be the first. In the weeks that followed, reports began filtering in from across the galaxy. Other ancient ships were awakening, seeking human partners with the mechanical empathy Tom had shown. Not all would find suitable candidates, but enough would succeed to begin the transformation Harmony's builders had envisioned. Tom smiled as he felt the presence of other enhanced humans beginning to emerge across the stars. He was no longer alone in his transformation. The future would be challenging, but humanity would face it with capabilities their species had never possessed before. 3 months after leaving Frontier Station, Tom stood on the observation deck of a massive space station that had not existed the week before. Around him, 43 other humans moved with the same enhanced grace he had learned to take for granted. Each one had bonded with a builder ship, and together they had created something unprecedented in the galaxy's history. The station they called Haven floated in the void beyond the galactic rim, invisible to normal sensors but teeming with activity. Enhanced humans and their builder partners worked together to construct vessels that combined the best of both technologies. The ships that emerged from their workshops were unlike anything either species had created alone. "The integration is proceeding faster than we hoped," said Maria Santos, Tom's closest friend among the bonded humans. Her partnership, called Symphony, specialized in communication and coordination. Through her, Tom could feel the thoughts and emotions of builder ships awakening throughout the galaxy. "How many now?" Tom asked, watching a new arrival emerge from hyperspace. The ship's hull showed the flowing organic curves characteristic of builder vessels, but its size and configuration were uniquely human in design. 67 confirmed partnerships, with more establishing contact every day. "The quantum resonance cascade you triggered by being first has exceeded all our projections." Tom felt a mix of pride and responsibility at the news. His decision to accept Harmony's offer had started a chain reaction that was transforming the relationship between humanity and the galaxy's ancient guardians. But with that transformation came obligations he was only beginning to understand. "Show me the tactical situation," he said. The station's central display activated, showing a 3-dimensional map of the local galaxy group. Red indicators marked the positions of known Devourer scout probes, while blue dots showed the locations of awakened builder ships and their human partners. The enemy advance was closer than Tom had expected. "They are not just returning," observed David Wong, whose partnership specialized in long-range sensing. "They are actively probing our defenses, testing the strength of the galaxy's technological civilizations. My ship detected quantum signatures consistent with Devourer reconnaissance units in 7 different star systems last week." Tom studied the tactical display with growing concern. The enemy was still years away from mounting a high, full invasion, but their scouts were already mapping potential targets and identifying weaknesses to exploit. "What about the other spacefaring species? The Altarians, the Centauri Union, the Free Worlds Alliance?" "Most are unaware of the threat," Maria replied. "Their technology cannot detect Devourer signatures until the machines are almost on top of them. By the time they realize what is happening, it will be too late. Then we need to warn them." "With what credibility? We are humans who claim to have bonded with ancient alien machines. Most governments would dismiss us as cultists or con artists." Tom understood the problem. The enhanced humans were still a tiny minority, hidden in the void between galaxies, while the civilizations they sought to protect remained ignorant of the approaching danger. They needed to act, but any direct intervention might be seen as an invasion itself. "Harmony," he said aloud, addressing his partnership through their mental link. "Show me the true scope of what we are facing." The display changed to show a view from outside the galaxy. In the dark space between galactic clusters, massive shapes moved with mechanical precision. The Devourers had grown since their last war, with the Builders evolving from simple consumption machines into something far more sophisticated and dangerous. "They are not just destroyers now," Harmony explained, her voice carrying overtones of ancient fear. They have learned to preserve and study the civilizations they consume, incorporating the best aspects of each species into their collective consciousness. They are coming not just to devour but to judge whether this galaxy's species are worthy of survival. Judge us how? By our ability to transcend the limitations of our individual species and work together for the common good. The builders designed us to be catalysts for exactly this kind of transformation. Tom understood now why his transformation had been so important. The builders had not created their ships to fight the devourers directly. Instead, they had designed them to help younger species evolve beyond the petty conflicts and limitations that made them vulnerable to consumption. We need to return to human space, Tom decided. Not to hide or seek protection, but to demonstrate what cooperation between species can achieve. The other enhanced humans gathered around him as he outlined his plan. They would not reveal themselves as changed beings initially. Instead, they would approach the major human governments as representatives of a new interstellar organization dedicated to technological advancement and mutual defense. The Federation will never accept alien technology from unknown sources, David pointed out. They are still hunting for you, Tom. Your broadcasts may have inspired independent researchers, but the military sees you as a rogue agent. Then we do not offer them alien technology. We offer them human technology that happens to be more advanced than anything they have seen before. Our ships can demonstrate capabilities they cannot ignore. Over the following weeks, enhanced humans and their builder partners began returning to the galaxy's inhabited systems. They approached not as individuals, but as a coordinated fleet, their ships working in perfect harmony to accomplish tasks no single vessel could manage alone. Their first public demonstration took place in the Kepler system, where a massive asteroid was on a collision course with the colony world of New Geneva. Local authorities had been evacuating the planet when the mysterious fleet arrived and moved the asteroid to a safe orbit in less than 6 hours. The rescue operation was broadcast across human space, showing ships that moved like living things and worked together with unprecedented coordination. When reporters asked who they were, the fleet's spokesman identified himself only as Tom Bradley, a mechanic who had found a better way to fix broken things. We represent a new approach to space technology, Tom explained during the press conference that followed. Instead of competing against each other, we have learned to work in partnership with artificial intelligences that share our goals and values. The response was immediate and intense. Some hailed the fleet as humanity's salvation, while others denounced them as puppets of an alien conspiracy. But the governments could not ignore the obvious military implications of technology that could move asteroids and coordinate fleets with perfect precision. Within days, delegations from every major human faction requested meetings with the mysterious fleet. Tom found himself negotiating with the same Admiral Morrison who had tried to arrest him months earlier, though the man's attitude had changed considerably since witnessing the asteroid rescue. "We need to know what you are offering and what you want in return," Morrison said during their private meeting aboard Haven Station, which had repositioned itself in neutral space near the Sol system. "We want humanity to survive what is coming," Tom replied. "In approximately 40 years, an enemy that destroyed civilizations long before humans existed will return to this galaxy. They are called the Devourers, and they consume entire species to fuel their expansion." Morrison's face went pale. "You have proof of this threat?" Tom gestured to the station's main display, which showed the tactical situation beyond the galactic rim. The Admiral studied the data with growing alarm as he realized the scope of what they were facing. "My God, how do we fight something like that?" "By becoming more than we are individually. The technology you have seen is the result of partnership between human creativity and artificial intelligences that have fought these enemies before. Together, we can build defenses that neither species could create alone." The negotiations that followed were complex and sometimes heated. Human governments wanted guarantees they could not give and control over technologies they could not fully understand. But the enhanced humans persisted, demonstrating again and again that cooperation produced results no amount of competition could match. The breakthrough came when a Devourer scout probe infiltrated the Centauri system and began consuming the orbital mining platforms around Proxima Centauri. The probe was small by Devourer standards, barely the size of a cruiser, but it shrugged off everything the local defense forces threw at it. Tom's fleet responded within hours of the distress call. 6 enhanced humans and their builder partners coordinated their attack with precision no normal military unit could achieve. Instead of trying to destroy the probe directly, they used gravitational manipulation to trap it in a containment field, while specialized weapons disrupted its self-repair systems. The battle lasted only 20 minutes, but it changed everything. For the first time, humans had witnessed Devourer technology in action and seen it defeated. The probe's wreckage provided physical proof of the threat Tom had been warning about. "This is just a scout," Tom explained to the emergency session of the Terran Federation Council. "A full Devourer warship is thousands of times more powerful. When they arrive in force, no single human faction will be able to resist them." The debate that followed lasted for days, but the outcome was inevitable. Faced with an existential threat to their entire species, human governments agreed to the unprecedented cooperation the enhanced humans proposed. The Sol Defense Pact was signed by every major human faction, creating a unified command structure for the first time in centuries. Tom found himself appointed as the Pact's technical coordinator, responsible for overseeing the integration of builder technology into human defense systems. It was a role he had never wanted, but could not refuse. Too much depended on getting it right. Over the next several years, the transformation of human civilization accelerated beyond all expectations. Enhanced humans served as bridges between normal people and their builder partners, helping to design new types of ships and weapons that combined the best of both technologies. The first generation of hybrid vessels rolled out of shipyards that had been rebuilt using builder construction techniques. These ships were smaller than traditional human warships, but far more capable, their crews working in partnership with artificial intelligences that enhanced their natural abilities. More importantly, the partnership model began spreading to civilian applications. Human engineers worked with builder AIs to design better life support systems, more efficient power generation, and transportation networks that could move people and goods across interstellar distances in record time. The changes were not without controversy. Religious groups declared the enhanced humans to be no longer truly human. Corporate interests fought to maintain control over technologies they could no longer monopolize. Some political factions called for a return to pure human technology and the exile of anyone who had bonded with a builder ship. But the majority of humanity embraced the transformation when they saw its benefits. Poverty became rare as builder designed. Systems made it possible to provide for everyone's basic needs. Disease retreated as medical technology advanced by centuries in just a few years. The dream of spreading across the galaxy became reality, as new types of ships made interstellar travel as common as flying between continents had once been on Earth. Tom stood on Haven Station's observation deck 5 years after his first transformation, watching a fleet of hybrid ships prepare for their latest mission. 37 enhanced humans and their builder partners would lead an expedition to the galactic core, where the strongest concentration of ancient defensive systems waited to be reactivated. "Do you think we will be ready in time?" Maria asked, joining him at the viewport. Tom considered the question carefully. Humanity had changed more in 5 years than in the previous 5 centuries. They had united their fractured governments, revolutionized their technology, and begun forming alliances with other spacefaring species who had witnessed their transformation. But the Devourers were also adapting, their scouts probing deeper into the galaxy and learning from each encounter. The final battle would not be won by technology alone, but by the willingness of different species to trust each other and work together against a common threat. "We will be as ready as we can make ourselves," Tom replied. "The rest will depend on whether we have truly learned to be more than the sum of our parts." As if responding to his words, the hybrid fleet began, its departure in perfect synchronization. Human crews and builder AIs working as one, their ships moving like dancers in an ancient ritual. It was beautiful and powerful and completely unlike anything either species could have achieved alone. Tom smiled as he watched them disappear into hyperspace. The mechanic who had once fixed broken engines had become something he never expected. the catalyst for his species' greatest transformation. Whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity would face them not as scattered individuals but as part of something larger and stronger than any single world or faction. The Devourers were coming, but they would find a galaxy that had learned the most important lesson of all, that true strength came not from consuming others but from lifting them up and standing together against the darkness.